Celtic versus Rangers, known to the world as one of the fiercest and most bitter rivalries in football, a rivalry steeped in history and passion, which has earned its place as being one of the most widely regarded atmospheres in the world. The game's a cauldron of noise and colour which seldom fails to live up to lofty expectations. Passion from the stands emanating onto the players in the park, leading to explosive tackles and many a flashpoint. Although, in recent times, the derby has been subject to a major change, and that is the allocation of away fans. The derby has become engulfed in petty squabbles between the clubs over housing of away fans. The cause of the issue? Widely disputed amongst fans. It's meant that the previous allocations of away fans that we are used to has been massively reduced.
I think, as an Englishman myself, I don't think many other English football fans would tune in for any other games other than the Old Firm. So for me, now I do live in Scotland, I absolutely love Scottish football of all different levels, but I think the Old Firm derby probably would have been the only game I would have taken time out to probably watch, and I think it just adds an element of, I don't know, I think people from around the world know of Scottish football just due to the Old Firm derby, basically. I think it's a lot more fierce than any rivalry down south, even compared to Liverpool, Man United, or Arsenal, Tottenham, or Chelsea, Tottenham. There's some huge derbies. Villa, Birmingham, for instance, is huge down south as well, but I don't think there's any that are as fierce as what it seems like up here in Glasgow, for sure.
For years, the agreement for the fixture was Celtic fans received the Brimlin Road stand at Ibrox, and Rangers fans received an equal number of tickets at Celtic Park, housed in the away corner and half of the Lisbon Lion stand. For years, this allocation went on without issue. The large numbers of away support on each ground for the fixture meant for an intense atmosphere, with the back and forth between the two set of fans. The occasion was never dull, and the electric atmosphere allowed fans to battle it out in the stadium.
Derby games for me are probably one of the best things about supporting Celtic, up with the European games. And when you go to the games, you know, there's obviously so many reasons for why they're good games. The fact they matter so much, the bragging rights, the fact they're usually quite decisive in the league title. But I think a big factor is, you know, the big away supports, and, you know, walking out maybe 15-20 minutes earlier than you normally would, and soaking in the atmosphere and hearing and seeing the away support. And obviously, you know, scoring the goals and winning the games is much better, but also losing it's much worse when there's a big away support there.
To be honest, I preferred it when it was the full, like, was it 7,000-8,000 each? I liked it because you know yourself, you go to away days, and if you've beat us at Ibrox, then you can silence the whole crowd and you can get behind the team more, and obviously, like, there's a whole atmosphere behind it. It's the same at Rangers at Parkhead, they silence the whole Celtic Park. Because I did prefer it, but I mean, I'm not like too fussed on what it is now, you just kind of get on with it.
I think it's ruined arguably one of the biggest fixtures in world football. I think growing up, certainly for me, it was always they came here, they made noise, we went there, we made noise, and tried to kind of get what we could from their own turf. I just think it's sad the way the kind of derbies became this way, especially for fans, because it's one of the biggest days out of the year. So yeah, kind of gutted about it.
However, the last time this allocation was seen was the 2017-18 campaign, in a 3-2 win for Celtic at Ibrox and a 5-0 win for Celtic at Parkhead on April 29, 2018. Rangers announced their plans to reduce Celtic's allocation to a mere 800 tickets, the same amount given to any other set of support in the league.
Celtic fans will cling on to the fact that they were having a bit of a party every time they were coming to Ibrox, and I can understand that. I would do exactly the same if it was the other way about. But the fact that they brought it down to 700 fans, it was a wee bit extreme. I felt like at the time, 7,500 fans coming to Ibrox, I felt that they had a much more advantage at Ibrox than what we did at Parkhead because they have a bigger stadium. I felt them having the full Brimlin gave them a right lift. I supported bringing it down, not quite as drastically. I would have wanted to maybe meet somewhere in the middle.
This was then reciprocated by Celtic, and thus began the petty squabbling that many would argue has starved the derby of all the atmosphere it once had. Many held out hope for a resolution to the problem, but now we find ourselves into the 4th season facing this issue, and hopes of a return to the previous allocations are bleak at best. With Rangers managing director Stuart Robertson recently coming out and stating that there would be no return to the old allocations for the foreseeable. Now the derby has found itself in a state where there are no away fans in attendance at all.
I just can't believe that there's not away fans being allowed at these massive games. Like, it is what put Scottish football on the map around the world, is the Old Firm derby, and it's just such a shame to see that there's only going to be home fans. I mean, we've just had a year or 2 years of having no fans at all, and now the squabbles between home and away tickets, it's just ridiculous, and it's taken away a massive element from the Old Firm, which I think they need. There's got to be, I feel like the tit for tat has gone too far now. It's gone so far that they're not letting any away fans into Old Firm derbies, and it's just absolutely mental. Like, as well as like Boca Juniors, River Plate, Liverpool, Man United, Celtic, Rangers, I feel like these are the biggest football occasions in the world, and to not have any away fans there is just criminal in my opinion.
The question must be asked as to whether the derby still holds the same drawing factor now that it once did, with the atmosphere being impacted by the ticketing issue.
I think the history of the rivalry is still there. I think they hate us, we hate them, and that's healthy for football, and I like that. But there's no way you can compare it or say it's still one of the biggest atmosphere-wise, because it's not, because if the atmosphere's non-existent, it's not there anymore.
I mean, it was never a thing in, like, look at El Clasico, for example. There's never been that mass away selection there, do you know? I think, I mean, you just need to go to the game and see the atmosphere, even with the home fans there, to see it's still massive, do you know what I mean?
In terms of my kind of how much I'm looking forward to the game, it doesn't change anything at all. It would just add a little bit extra if the big supports are back. I think, you know, worldwide it probably has taken a little bit away from the game, because, you know, the big fixtures you look at down south and stuff, it's always the away supports and the whole kind of animosity between the two groups of fans is one of the main reasons you watch games. Watching Forest and Derby at the weekend, and that's always a game that's got a great atmosphere, and you watch it because of like the fans, and we've just not really got that anymore in this fixture, and it is probably for people worldwide it's a bit disappointing.
Even last year with all the empty stadiums, I still was getting up for like an Old Firm to even sit and watch in my living room. So I just think if you've been born and you've grown up with it, then you can't really escape it. But maybe all for the new generation coming through, maybe different for them, but I'm not too sure.
Celtic fans believe the reason for this is due to Rangers lashing out after seeing heavy defeats at Ibrox in Celtic's years of dominance. Who is to blame?
We know who done it first.
Rangers for me,
But then at the same time, it's kind of both spitting the dummy out. But I think if whoever starts the argument is kind of to blame for it.
They have their reasons, and it's probably, I doubt they're regretting it at all really, because it's worked for them. I think the results have improved a lot since the allocations have been shut. Now a lot of that's probably down to the fact they've improved and Celtic had kind of worsened as well, but I don't think they'll be too bothered or worrying about what I'm saying.
Well, it was Rangers who came into it and put it first, but I don't know if it's them to blame as such. I just think, I don't know, I think it's more like a mutual thing. Like, obviously Rangers done it first, but then Celtic have like, oh, well, you're doing that, then we're just going to do the exact same thing.
I mean, I think a lot of people were maybe looking at it and saying Celtic should have kept the big Rangers away allocation and been the bigger man, if you will, but I think we were always going to reciprocate when they cut our allocation. It was the only thing we could really do for the kind of to keep things fair. But the derby's definitely worse off for it, and what happens now, I'm not sure.
There are two sides to every argument, and fans can understand the Rangers wanted to keep fans in their seats, but Celtic fans don't believe that to be the real reason behind the decision. The derby can still deliver on the atmosphere front, but many fans argue that it cannot compare to the derbies of old. The issue is one that is not likely to be resolved anytime soon, due to stubbornness of the clubs to back down.
If it's going to be resolved, I feel it needs to be Rangers that do it. Rangers were the ones that pulled the plug. I feel like if we're going to get anywhere, I feel Rangers need to make the first step, but like you said, both clubs can be quite stubborn. I don't think it's Celtic's place to do it, considering we pulled the plug on it. If it's going to happen, it needs to be Rangers that do it.
I just think it's both teams need to sort it out and get it sorted for the fans more importantly than anybody else.
I think they should just both just have a conversation behind it and just bring it all back.
Some fans on both sides cling on to the hope that a compromise can be made to allow more fans in than the 800 limit.
I went to it was Rangers v Bromby in the Europa League, and they had the corner and then they had a wee bit of the Brimlin, and I was thinking, well, why didn't Celtic just give Celtic that, or maybe like even a wee bit more? That's what I think would be, because they've done that before in the past, given away and then a wee bit of the Brimlin, so even if they've done that.
I don't know if there's any other options for places they could put us. Probably not the way the stadiums work. I don't think there's many other options for us here either. I just think the arrangement worked really well for both teams and improved the spectacle of the game, and it's just a shame.
I would just prefer maybe go back the way it was, simply for the atmosphere, but I get where more fans want to attend their home games rather than the away fans get let in, so I can see both sides to the argument, but for me, I would say the full capacity of what it was before.
I would move them as well. obviously because the corner that they're in the now for safety issues, that's why they kind of extend it into the Broomloan. I would try and move them, but I would try and compromise. It has an effect on the atmosphere, doesn't it?
We now find ourselves in a position where the fixture is played with no away fans whatsoever. We will see this again on the 2nd of February 2022, and it could continue for a long time. It has completely changed the atmosphere of the game.
This is like the jewel in the crown of Scottish football, isn't it? It's the blue of Rangers and the green of Celtic. It's huge, it's known the world over, and if the SFA are just standing by and just letting this kind of run on, I don't know, I'm not sure of the intricacies of why it's happened and what's going on, but I just feel like something has to be done. It's crazy that, you know, no away fans can be there.
It is clear there is a demand out there for a return to the derbies of old, and for the sake of one of world football's biggest rivalries, it is vital to take steps to come to a compromise. The passion, colour and noise of the spectacle of what has made it the world over. Few derbies in the world mean this much to its fans. It's something that's hard to explain if you're not in the thick of it. Whatever your opinion on the matter is, common ground must be found to help cement this historic fixture amongst the top atmospheres in world football.
You've had 2 years, right? Rangers have been away at Celtic. Do you not miss seeing 8,000 devastated fans?
Devastated fans. That would have been good. It would have been. I mean, it was. They were having a bit of a party, weren't they, coming to Ibrox? So the fact that they would have been there, and especially the last game when we won 4-1 when the title was wrapped up, that would have been a bit. That would have been a bit of a party. Watching Scott Brown go off in the 60th minute and stuff like that when they were 3-1 down, that would have been good. But I miss that.